Welcome in, everybody, to Fantasy Pros MLB. This is Leading Off Live, brought to you by PrizePicks. Sign up for PrizePicks today with the promo code Leading Off. Make sure you do that. It's me, Joey P, Joe Pizzapia. That, of course, is the Welsh. And it's you, the Peanuts, the Cracker Jacks, all of our good friends here talking some baseball. We've got lots of stuff to talk about from yesterday. We thought it was going to be a boring old slate. Well, it turned out to be a slugfest in St. Louis, so a lot to talk about there. We'll, of course, have some rookie lookies to talk about. We, of course, will have a little DFS, a little wagering, a little of everything, Welsh, as we head into the weekend. And, Welsh, I think the big thing to start with is obviously something amazing happened, something magical yesterday. Not only did you get a home run call correct, I got a home run call correct. Yours, of course, was Max Muncy, which was perfect. And Max Muncy homered, wait for it, off Genesis Cabrera yesterday. I mean, I don't think we could write a better script coming into Friday, could we?
No, I didn't even know that it was Genesis Cabrera until we have a little chat between you and myself, Mayor, and Kelly Kirby. And when I saw it blowing up in there, I was like, oh, wow, this is magic. And this is the first time we'd have to go get the statisticians to go and look. When's the last time you and I both had a home run call together? It hasn't happened this year.
If it did, it happened in April. I don't think it has. I think the first
you
time
hit
we both
none
on
in
the same
May.
day.
I hit none in April pretty much. So
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't think we've done it this year, and God knows when it was last year. So that was a miracle. Genesis Cabrera showing up was magical. So thank you, Genesis.
Thank you,
Come on
Genesis.
down to the student.
I mean, I saw the Muncy home run, but I didn't know who was off. And then this morning I was watching a little quick pitch, kind of getting caught up on things that went on. And there it was. There was Genesis Cabrera and Max Muncy. And I was like, this is just perfect. This is a beautiful way to end the week after a fun week. And we can, we'll talk about that. Let's talk about also Noah Arenado going yard in that game too. He has been red hot. Wilson Contreras twice with the home runs. The burger phone was getting used a lot yesterday. Adam Wainwright had to dial up the burger phone, but what in the hell is going on? It's funny, Welsh, because we kept talking about Nolan Arenado, what a good buy low he was. In my home league, I saw him trying to get traded like every deal. It was like Nolan Arenado trying to like get shopped around. I couldn't believe it. And I'm like, why are people trying to get rid of this guy? He's just in a slump. Like, just be patient with this dude. But man, has this guy exploded. And so is St. Louis. Now, St. Louis still needs to get better pitching. That still has to happen. But do you think St. Louis has turned a corner here in these last few days?
Yeah, I think offensively they're finding their footing. Goldie's been locked in. They're still kind of moving around some of the pieces. I had talked about maybe trading Tommy Edman. Edman has been pretty solid. Their outfield is still piecing together. Lars Nootbaar, again, I kind of been targeting a lot of Cardinals. Lars Nootbaar was another one to buy. He's been kind of heating up. And with the whole pitching situation, we're going to see how it all lays out. But they kind of gave off and on like where Matthew Liberatore is going to go. They're like, well, we think he's going to get another start. He's going to stay with the team. He might be bullpen, which would be garbage, but I can't imagine they're going to be able to keep him bullpen after that performance. So we'll have to kind of see what happens with Liberatore. But I think this whole team has turned the corner around. Good buys overall. And also, I don't know if you've looked, Jordan Walker struggling in the minors too. So
I actually,
not been good.
I'm glad you brought that up because I haven't seen that. And sometimes that happens. The guys get frustrated. They, I don't want to say they pout, but they it does knock their confidence sometimes. Some guys respond. They get set down, they come right back. We're going to talk about one of those guys who's kind of teetering on that edge. One more big note from that game: Freddie Freeman in a grand slam. It was a 300th career home run for Freddie Freeman. Couldn't happen to a better guy. Like, is Freddie Freeman the most likable guy in baseball? I feel like he is because I love Freddie.
I think he's in that general vicinity, right?
Great.
Yeah, he's up there.
He's terrific. Good for him. 300 home runs.
He's
good for you. Now, more to the point. Going into the season, Welsh, we did a lot of betting pro shows together. We had a lot of conversations about the Dodgers and my concern for the back end of this rotation. And also, I'm not a big Julio Urias guy. And obviously, his last start, not good. Obviously, May's injury is a problem. Obviously, Syndergaard is Syndergaard. I know we talked about it yesterday. I'm going to keep driving this home. The Dodgers got to figure something out. And I know that part of that figuring out is going to be Dave Roberts talking about Gavin Stone, that he, quote, makes sense, end quote, to be the guy to replace Dustin May. So that's going to happen. So if Stone is out there in your leagues, and I imagine he probably is in most, I imagine he's not rostered. I have to look up the number. I'll take a look at it. But in your opinion, this weekend, he didn't make my waiver wire video at the time. Again, Gavin Stone's a guy that, we're not as high on necessarily, but how much equity would you put into Gavin Stone considering right now, if you're looking to get him off the waiver wire, looking at his roster percentage, I'll bring that up in a second. He is 35% roster, so still available in almost 65% of leagues.
Well, great question might be Gavin Stone or Matthew Liberatore. And
Liberatore.
I gotta tell you, well, you know what? I almost might lean in the other direction because I still think the Cardinals are making horrifically bad decisions. And by not making a commitment, I don't know what they're going to do with Liberatore. They're going to put him in the bullpen, long relief for like 3 or 4 weeks and put him up. If Gavin Stone does struggle, I could mention they can easily go in another direction. Here's what I'll say. I think they both are in the exact same similar fab range. I think they should go about the same price, whatever that ends up being, whatever investment you guys put in. I think they should go about the same because they both have inherent risk. And Gavin Stone found himself a little bit. He lives off of this big changeup, the splittery changeup that he's got, which could induce some big whiffs if he can command the fastball. So I kind of almost tiny bit side on maybe Gavin Stone with all the issues they have because they might experiment with some other guys and he might be locked up. But like I said, I think both of these guys probably should be valued about the same, which we totally wouldn't have said before the season.
That is also fair. Angelo is saying here, Mona, Samantha, Jonathan. Angelo says Ohtani to the Cardinals. That's what he says. That's my best Tony Danza voice. Here's the thing, though. The Cardinals, this would have to be a rental if they went after Ohtani, because it would probably cost them, I would imagine, Liberatore and Jordan Walker. Like,
easy.
If I'm them, that's what I'm asking for. That's a lot to give up for a rental. And I don't think the Cardinals have the funds after paying Arenado and Goldschmidt to
Can you imagine the Cardinals trying to make the decision between a guy that can hit and pitch? Their brains would explode at the thought of a guy that wants to hit on the same day that he's pitching. There's no way they can make those decisions. I will put a 0.0% chance that Ohtani is ever a Cardinal.
Yeah, I think it's probably an unlikely thing. I'm going to say this too. It feels like, I don't think this is intentional, but obviously what's going on with Ohtani, had he not, had the National League not adopted the DH, it'd be a very different set of circumstances, I feel like, too, for him. He's really doubled his market potential. And that's good for baseball. It's good for Ohtani, certainly. It's good for anybody else who comes along in the next 10 years who can do anything close to what he's doing. And I wonder if teams are going to start to value that more, because it's something you do see in college baseball still to a certain degree, not as much, but you'll see some of these guys, who can do both. You've seen them get drafted in the last couple of years.
There's actually a guy right now named Bryce Eldridge, who my buddy Joe Doyle was just talking about, who has can hit 97 and putting up 110 max EVs.
But to me, if I'm an organization, I look at that and saying, hey, this is a good investment long term because I can get 2 players in one. So fiscally, it's more responsible. And I think you're going to see other teams start to look for those kind of guys.
But teams have to learn to develop, and they can't. And Jake Cronenworth was like a 2-way player. Brennan McKay with the Rays was one of those guys. Teams don't know how to manage these guys. There was a guy, Bubba Chandler in the Pirate system right now, who I think he's just finally made the full commitment. Last year he was hitting. The Giants have one right now in Reggie Crawford. Teams don't know how to manage these guys. So I agree this would be a more cost-efficient way for teams to approach if players could do it, but no one knows how to properly develop these players. And I just wanted to say, with the Ohtani stuff, you say he doubled his options, but I think his options went from, 2 to 3 or 2 to 4 maximum. Like, it's fun to be like, oh, my team could get him, and all the Oriole, he's not. He's going to be like a Met. He's going to be a Yankee. He's going to be a Dodger. He's going to be an Angel. Like, those are the teams. Like, maybe you can throw in the Mariners, but like, we're just being silly. It's going to go to one of the huge dollar teams, and we all know it.
Yeah, it's like a fun game of Survivor. And I see Razor talking about Survivor in the chat here about who went home, and some fun stuff there. So yes, I was not surprised who went home, but I was rooting for somebody else to go home because there's a crazy woman on that island, and they're crazy if they don't.
What are you talking about? Oh, you turn that into Survivor?
Yeah, talking about Survivor there. I'm trying to, doing the best I can. It's Friday. Nestor Cortez gave up 2 runs in 6 innings. And then Carlos Estevez notched his 10th save. He was on the waiver wire pickup video a couple weeks ago, so hopefully you nabbed him because he was floating out there a lot longer than he should have been. I was shocked. It was only 50% of leagues even a couple weeks ago. Adley Rutschman, a 2-run home run, and he walked twice, so good day for Rutschman. He continues to be great. We're also seeing, I feel like, a resurgence as the offensive catcher this year, between Murphy, between Rutschman. We've gotten a little bit more of that. Alvarez for the Mets starting to hit a little bit. Now, I don't know what's going to happen with Alvarez necessarily because we see Gary Sanchez is going to be brought up from the minor leagues. So do you think that Alvarez is the guy that gets sent down? Would that be kind of counterproductive at this point?
I mean, I think Narvaez is coming back. He's not back yet, I don't believe.
No, he's still out for weeks still.
Yeah, but when he comes back, that'll be probably Gary Sanchez going. I don't know. It's a great question. I mean, the Met, what are they going to do if Narvaez is the top guy?
You have
Vientos
down. Ito's a great defensive catcher, but he can't hit water if you fell out of a boat. So to get rid of Alvarez right now when you need offense, I think would be very short-sighted. But if you have Alvarez as your standalone catcher right now today, you got to start looking around for possibly another option.
The Mets might be a team that really need to look at themselves and figure out where the trade market is and maybe open up that Pandora's box, because they got all these pieces that are just like, okay, you're right. When Narvaez comes back, you got Neto. What do you do with Alvarez? You can't DH him really on opposite days because you've got Vientos and Beatty up, and they're trying to figure out Vogelbach. They got too many. Ronnie Mauricio sitting out there. They have riches that are too close to the majors, that if they've got deficiencies in other spots, they really should look to maybe move one of these guys. Maybe it's Alvarez, by the way, and not blatantly Vientos or Beatty. But I do think that's something that team should, especially with the money that they spend, they should.
Well, that's why I keep coming back to the Mets. The Mets have the need for Ohtani. The Mets have the prospects, though, Ohtani. The Mets have the will to lock him up long-term. Money is no object to Steve Cohen. That's why everyone keeps saying, oh, he's going to stay on the West Coast. I just don't think it's going to happen. I really don't. We'll see at the end. I love this. This is my favorite thing. The first time, long times. Josh Dodd have listened to every single episode of Leading Off, but never been here live among the Peanuts and the Cracker Jacks. Keep up the good work, Joe and Chris. Your show makes my daily commute tolerable. Josh, we've been called tolerable many times in our life, both Welsh and myself. But thank you,
my
Josh,
wife's nickname for me.
So. Yes. Hey, tolerable. Take out the trash. Will you please? But Josh, all joking aside, thanks for listening. And this is great. I love when people join us here live in the chat. It's fun to hang out here. The Peanuts and Cracker Jacks are amazing. Let's do a little rookie lookie. So according to Cardinals manager, very Cardinals heavy show today for all you St. Louis fans. Thursday, Matthew Liberatore will start next week, he said yesterday. So that is good. We were speculating, will he make a second start? Was he going to work out of the bullpen? No. He will make a start in the road trip. Yuri Perez got his first major league win. Congratulations, son. Good job. And then Taj Bradley did get back. Now, he struggled in the beginning. Gave up 2 runs over 5 innings. Then he did settle down a little bit. So overall, I think, if you stayed away, you were probably happy. If you had to start him, you probably looked and said, okay, it wasn't so bad. I think that's kind of the takeaway from Taj. He wasn't what he looked like in the minor leagues. That's for sure. That's good.
Yeah, well, you kind of saw the stuff. You saw the things that we were a little bit worried about with him. The command was a little bit spotty. The cutter wasn't hitting where he needed it to go, but he was able to give away with a lot of stuff. The changeup was going. You wish you see it a little bit more of the curveball, but I think overall pretty good. And by the way, we can also say goodbye officially to Yuri Perez strikeout props being 4.5. I think the last 2 have been 4.5. They have smacked both, I think, in the 3rd inning. So we can say bye-bye to those. Those were nice while we had them.
And Cody, you're right. I did say this about Juan Soto, that he would be a Met eventually, because I could tell Steve Cohen really liked Juan Soto. But at the time, they didn't want to move the prospects. And I told you the problem was they were never going to trade him in the division. So I knew he wasn't going to be via trade. And if the Mets don't get Ohtani, they will go after Juan Soto in free agency. It's going to be one of those 2 guys for sure. So, Cody, you're right. I did say Soto will be a Met. There's still time for that to happen. But there's no way the Nationals are going to trade him to the Mets. Like, that was never going to happen. They would have had such a massive overpay. It's never, ever going to be the case. All right, let's go to one more here. Anthony Volpe, who we were talking about, was on the precipice. Got benched 2 days ago. Yesterday, hit a home run. Maybe this burns him. I still say he's a great buy low across the board. I still believe in Anthony Volpe, despite the struggles, and I think it's great that they're sticking with him. Injury front, Tommy Edman removed yesterday, lower abdomen soreness. That sounds painful. Jared Walsh, who's been dealing with chronic migraines and headache issues, he went 3 for 3 with a pair of walks yesterday in a rehab assignment. So if you're desperate for some corner help in a deeper league, maybe Jared Walsh can give you a little bit of a help if he is healthy. Seth Lugo's not healthy. He goes on to the IL with a calf strain. Aaron Savali, 3 scoreless innings on Thursday. So he is starting to get closer to returning. So Indians. Oh my goodness.
Hey, everybody, let's get on Joe. Remember my mistake last week? Chat. Joe. What was the team, Joe? What was it?
Well, they were the Cleveland Indians. So at one point they
2
were this team.
strikes.
I don't think it's the same thing. Chat, I don't think it's the same thing.
I think yours is worse. I think yours is worse than
No,
my
it's not. It's
snafu
what
last
they
week.
were called. It wasn't like I said something like I called them some
I
other name
just
that
said
they
the
didn't used
wrong
to be.
name. I didn't say a name that was canceled, Joe. This chat is garbage, by the way. Not one person getting on your case about it in this chat. I'm looking at
Well,
this.
because mine was an honest mistake
Disappointing.
that I made one time and caught myself. You made it 8 times in a row.
It's one small, but again, it wasn't.
Even after I tried to lead you out of it. I think I was trying so hard. I was like, "Are you sure?" Anyway,
the Guardians, Aaron
Cleveland
Savali.
rotation, the Guardians.
You wanted to ask who's going
I
away.
want to ask who gets bounced when Savali comes back.
Peyton Battenfield. It's an easy one. That's the one that we've known that was going to go away. The bigger tests are going to be coming up here quickly when Tristan McKenzie is available and comes back. Who's going to kick rocks? And I think that's going to be, my gut says Cal Quantrill. He should go far away. And that's going to be your rotation. It'll be the 2 rookies, Savali, McKenzie, and Bieber. But, hey, listen, Savali, I don't think should be guaranteed anything either. And you have Gavin Williams in the wings. So a lot of options for them. But yeah, Peyton Battenfield is going to be saying bye-bye.
Yes. It's not like I call them
now
the
chat's
Cleveland.
going.
Yeah, I didn't call them the Cleveland Guidos or something like that.
No, you just called them the name that they actually changed because
they actually changed, and I made a mistake. I'm tired. It's Friday again. This is what
you're not allowed to make mistakes here, Joe. There's no mistakes.
But I caught myself as I made it, and I could tell it was like one of those bubbles, those cartoon bubbles. I could see it in my mouth. I said it sometimes I still say San Diego Chargers every now and again. These are just things that are ingrained in you after
Chargers don't offend anybody.
40 years, Franmil Reyes got signed to a minor league contract. Do you care?
Who did he used to be with? He used to be with it. What was that team? Joe?
The Padres.
No, what was that other team that he was with?
No, the Padres.
Oh,
which, by the way, how much longer are we going to call them the Padres?
Oh, is that offensive?
I don't know. I'm just saying, like, how much longer are we going to call them the Padres?
Joey's digging. Joey's digging. No, I have no interest in him, Franmil Reyes, with the Nationals or anybody, unfortunately. I love Franmil Reyes. He's like such a nice guy and stuff too, but the game is not there. So no, we don't have any fantasy interest here.
I love the Washington Commanders. Somebody give me a Washington Commanders hat and I'll put it on right now. All right. 3 up and 3 down from yesterday. Willson Contreras, obviously the 2-3 run home runs. It's amazing. So Willson Contreras had a little bit of a stern talking to. Maybe Marmol's a genius. Maybe he's exactly the old school tough guy manager that this team needed. I don't know.
Yeah,
but,
maybe.
A week ago, everybody wanted to fire this guy, and now all of a sudden this team has really come to life in the last couple days. Aaron Judge, 2 for 4 with another home run. Holy crap. 4 home runs this week against the Blue Jays. Unbelievable. Should just pick Aaron Judge every day for home run calls. Bo Bichette, 3 for 4 with a solo homer in that same game. Julio Urias lit up for 6 runs over 3 innings. I can't get past this. Going into the season, Welsh, I know we had this conversation a lot with Urias, where he was being valued as a fantasy ace, and I just did not believe he was. I don't think fantasy aces go out there and have as many of these kind of starts as Urias does on occasion. He is more Jose Berrios than he is Clayton Kershaw. And I know that upsets a lot of people if I say that, but you know what? I think it's true. And until he proves otherwise, you can't put him in that same Zach Gallen, Spencer Strider. Like, those guys are aces in fantasy. Urias is not that guy. And going in, if you look back at the ADP, that's exactly where he was ranked. And I think it was wrong, and I still believe it's wrong, and I think it's playing out that way.
Yeah, the idea of drafting him before like Zach Gallen is so silly right now. And I think Zach Gallen has jumped into a completely different range. There were some early positive signs with Urias. The strikeout numbers were going up, but they seem to have, his chase rate is in the essentially top 25% of the league, but everything has kind of stabilized down. Biggest hard hit percentage of his career he's given up. His K percentage has now dropped to a 3-year low. He's less effective. He's getting hit on the fastball a whole lot more. It's a 283 batting average. Last year, he gave up a 195.
His confidence on the mound, Welsh, too. The demeanor's not good. And I always, this is something that all the, fun Twitter pitching gurus and stuff like that, they're never going to talk about, right? They're going to give you the X plug. They're going to give you all these other things, but they're never going to talk about demeanor, confidence, commanding the space on the mound. This is something that the great pitchers do. It's something that even the great pitchers, when they're not great anymore, still do. Like Max Scherzer is not what Max Scherzer was, But I'm sure most guys are pretty, afraid to face Max Scherzer most days still.
Yeah.
Like there's still an intimidation factor, it's a control factor with that guy. And I think the best pitchers have that. And Urias does not have that demeanor at all. You could tell he's shaking there. And we got to talk about this too before we get to the rest of the downs, because if we don't, Mike Mayer's going to explode. He's tweeting about it. He's talking about it. Gunnar Henderson's heating up. Heating up.
I think it was like literally the 11th hour. You know that it was the last second. He didn't have much more time in my eyes to get going than he did. And I think over last week, he said over 300. He's been good. This is why they were tenuous about don't want to drop him if you could go in other directions. I think there were some scenarios where we kind of had to, but I'm telling you, this dude probably did it within 1 week more of his struggles. I think the team would have made the really, really tough decision. Jordan Westbrook just hit his 12th homer of the day the other day. He's knocking at the door. Joey Ortiz has been getting opportunities. So I think he's saving himself a gig right now.
Yeah. Continuing on with the downs, Adam Wainwright, 5 runs, but at least he had the burger phone. Only 2 of them were earned, so not everything was his fault, but still a W against the Dodgers and a big one too. That game was fun last night. Jorge Mateo returned to action, but it didn't matter. He went 0 for 4. Oh, the Jorge Mateo stuff right now.
Speaking of replacements.
He is hitting, get this, ready? Over his last 51 plate appearances. 106, 140, 128 slash.
He's so bad. He's
so bad. I don't know if I ever remember a player being that hot in April and this cold in May. Like this is like frozen tundra cold. This is unbelievable. Well, I mean, do you just drop him or do you bench him at this point? Like
I think you can drop. You know what? Him? Personally, I know he had a lot of stolen bases and whatnot, but I would
that
drop
was the
him.
Big draw.
Yeah, I'm not drawn to that anymore. I don't see how it's amazing that the Orioles.
I'm not drawn to that anymore. I don't care for that sort of man.
Means nothing.
I'm over that stage of my life. I'm moving on.
It's pretty incredible that they dealt with these struggles from multiple guys when they have got a minor league system that is chock full of guys that are not just kind of close. No, they're ready. Westberg and Kauser could come up and play today. Today they could if they wanted. So I just don't see why they're going to hold on for too much longer. I think he's going to get designated at some point. You don't even need him as a super util guy because Joey Ortiz can play that if they want. So I think it gets designated soon and they bring up Jordan Westberg, and that's the right thing to do.
I can't. I'd love to go back and see some of the trades for Jorge Mateo, like what people got in return for him on, I don't know, April 20th. That would have just been amazing.
What is his season number right now? Is he down to 106 or was that recently?
In the meantime, let's talk about PrizePicks. Use that promo code leading off, download the PrizePicks app, or just go to prizepicks.com and use the promo code leading off, because when you do, you will get a 100% deposit match up to $100. Welsh. Give us your prize picks and the answer to how good Jorge Mateo has been.
Well, also, how about
cold May?
How about we celebrate me for the win yesterday? That's another cash.
I celebrate more Welsh. Can we do that? That's all I wanted to do today was celebrate
you that played it, that you have the money, because I even gave you a secondary option because I put Trout in there and that hit. Yeah. So we were able to get through it. It's actually 252, not 262. It's actually a pretty good line. I'm being a little dismissive of it. I think I forgot how good of a line because he's been so bad. His XBA is pretty decent. All right, maybe I spoke out of turn. Maybe I was being a silly goose, because those type of numbers, they might give him a much bigger window, but it doesn't change that I don't think he's going to hold on to a starting gig.
He's the new Adalberto Mondesi.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. I think there's a similar swing set in there too. So way better stats than I remembered going. But like I said, I don't think it's going to be able to, I think it's be able to hold off Westbrook. But like I said yesterday, the haters sandwich cashed. So both hates cashed. And then I said Trout, and then I said, you know what? We can replace it with Yuri. Bing, bang. So let's see if we can make it 2 in a row. I will attempt to. No promises here. Here are my 3 plays for today. 20 would cash you 100. If you want to play, you can add other fun pieces. I have got no run first inning for Joe Ryan and Reed Detmers. Zach Gallen strikeout, 6.5 over, and Fernando Tatis Jr., who, by the way, on the shirt, 2.5, 2 total bases, 1.5 over total bases for Fernando Tatis Jr. Those are my prize picks.
There's a poll up right now that the Mayor Bear, who decided to come to work today for us, actually put up, and who deserves to be canceled more? Welsh still leading the pack here by a wide margin, 57%. So
you know what? Let's add Mayor to that.
Again, I caught myself literally as I said it. It was an honest mistake, and it was true. I didn't keep calling them a different team name that they weren't, a
What do
completely
you
different identity of another team that they might look similar or also play in the American League Central. If I kept calling them the Twins over and over again and they weren't the Twins, maybe a little different.
I think Mel is right. You guys don't deserve me. I just held back on a couple things here too.
Oh, I don't deserve you. All right. All right. Let's get to my prize picks here. James Paxton, 5.5 pitcher strikeouts. I am going to go the over on this. And I've struggled with this all day, but I'm going to go with the over on it. Bryce Harper, 7.5 hitter fantasy score over. Marcus Semien, looking for him to have a big day in Colorado too. I think there's going to be a lot of runs there. 8.5. Speaking of runs, also, I want to look at that Oakland-Houston game today. You got some subpar pitching on that mound. 9.5 is the run total. I know it's a big number. I'm going over in the -104. Seattle for the upset, the battle of the Bryces. Bryce Miller against Bryce Elder. How often in Major League Baseball have two guys named Bryce going against each other?
Yeah, it's fun. That's a very, by the way, like 2,000 plus name where everyone's like Aiden and Bryce.
Bryce. I think Jackson and Bryce are going to come over. We're going to hang out. We're going to play Fortnite. It's going to be super cool. And then, of course, the Boston Red Sox +130 on the money line. That's on DK. But speaking of Bryce Miller, 4.5 is the number, -125. I'm going to go over on that. Zach Gallen, 6.5 Ks. It's going to be slightly over, but I'm going to go over again. That's at -114. But I feel really strongly, the most strongly, I should say, or the strongest about Houston, Oakland, and the over in that 9.5. I think, Oakland's not the greatest offensive team. We know this. But even if they can patch together 3 or 4 runs here in this game, I think Houston's going to take care of the rest today against Waldichuk. So that's where I'm sitting. Where are you sitting when it comes to the bets today, Welsh?
All right. I've actually got 2 bets I'm going with the Diamondbacks on. We have a third bet that's actually a part of our big parlay. Every single day, Joe, myself, Mike Mayer, and Kelly Kirby put together a 4-leg parlay you can play that one of us will inherently lose. I think I might have the most losses on it yet. I'm not 100% sure because I can't do some of the stuff I like to do sometimes. But today on that one, I had the Diamondbacks money line. But my 2 favorite bets inside of it, I've got the Diamondbacks first 5 to be up by a run. It's a little juiced at 135, but it's just enough where you could still play it. So they just have to be up by 1 run after 5 innings. Reminder, Zach Gallen is pitching. On that, they're going up against Johan Oviedo. I like the Diamondbacks team total runs 2.5 over. That's +125, and they're averaging over 4 runs per game over their last, I think, 3 games. And Oviedo has gone over this 2 of his last 3. So I love that. That's actually my favorite, the team total runs. I'm also going back to Tampa Bay. They screwed me yesterday, but I'm going with the team total runs 2.5. I'm doing that bad boy again. It's -110. Those are my bets so far. But you can now always go check out the Betting Pros site and the Leading Off group if you want to check out any of the other bets. I can't put my team total runs in there, but I can put some of my others, so I might add some more. So go and follow that, follow me, follow us, and have a glorious time.
And this weekend, if you're just sitting around watching baseball, you might as well try Sorare. Go give it a shot. FantasyPros.com/collect. Again, it's free. So go check it out. It's free, fun baseball stuff. It's fantasy, it's cards. You create your team, you play against other people. It's a good time. And big news we announced this week too, FantasyPros.com/leading-off-league, where you can go ahead with your So Rare teams and compete against other members of the Peanuts and the Cracker Jacks. And we're giving away free subscriptions to MLB TV. So look at that. Very cool. So Rare, really stepping up the game. I like that, by the way, too. So good times there for the All-Star winners. So that's going to be a fun thing there going on. Now, Welsh, when we're looking at the DFS slate for the day, again, the battle of the Bryces, I'm going to take Bryce Miller. He's cheaper. He's 9.9, not much different than Elder. If you want to make a lineup and then just make 2 lineups, one with Elder, one with Miller, there's nothing wrong with that. Chances are one of those lineups is going to be better than the other. I think that's a good philosophy today. If you want to avoid that game altogether, that's also cool. If you are, then you go to the top of the board with Joe Ryan or Zach Gallen, or you go bound to the bottom end with James Paxton at 8.3. The Mets, the Rangers, especially the Houston Astros and the Dodgers, those are the offenses I want to get into today. Mark Vientos, if he's in the lineup, the 2.8. Miguel Vargas, who's been really good. I wrote him up on FantasyPros.com in our whole, buy low, sell high stuff. Miguel Vargas has been really good these last couple weeks. He's really starting to hit 2.7K. Luis Ariz, 2.8. Welsh, when it comes to home run calls today, I know you and I both hit home runs. You're probably back on the board, but Ethan was unavailable today
Oh,
to make
we
us a
didn't
home
get
run board. He was traveling.
They wanted to see the thing.
I know you wanted to see. Instead, how about I show you this picture of Juan Soto?
Oh, yuck. Oh,
How about this?
It's so disgusting.
Again, that is the reaction of Juan Soto to Juan Soto seeing Juan Soto's statue.
It's like the guy in the Goonies. Remember what was the guy's name who was trapped at the
Welsh,
bottom?
you're doing it again. That would be Sloth.
Sloth.
The guy in the Goonies.
Exactly. What am I doing? I didn't do anything.
I'm
not saying names. I'm being very careful about that. Put him back up. But can we get bobblehead Soto and Sloth at some point back to back? Because I mean, that is. That is.
I love the Goonies. That's one of my favorite all-time movies. They're actually showing it in the movie theater. The movie theater by my house, every week they show old movies, and they're doing the Harry Potter series on Saturdays. They're doing all these amazing fun stuff. And in September, they're showing Goonies, and I've never seen Goonies on a big screen, so I'm very excited about that.
You know what? This might be hated. I rewatched it with my kid. I didn't
really
care for it. I'm sorry. Like, no, I watched it when I was a kid, and then I rewatched
now
it.
We're canceled. Now I'm canceling you. If you don't
fine.
like Goonies, I can't. It's not fine.
It's fine.
Great. No,
I don't know.
Great. It's not fine. It's, chat, can you back me up here? The Goonies is great, please, for the love of God.
It's fine. Like the storytelling is pretty right.
There you go.
I mean, whatever.
There you go. Canceled.
You guys can watch that. I'll watch shows with like really deep and rich like storylines and stuff like that nowadays.
Deep and rich storylines. These are children fighting for their home. Welsh, about to all move. They're all going to move to different places. They're losing their home. They're losing their community, all for big business industrialization of this wonderful small town America. You want to talk about the struggle for the soul of small town America? That's what Goonies is about. That and pirates.
What's the chubby kid? What's the kid with the shuffle? What's that kid?
The guy tied to the wall. Now it's
what was his name?
It's Chunk. Everybody calls him Chunk, but his real name is
massively annoying character on the rewatch. I remember you liked him when you were a kid. Rewatch it. You want everything bad to happen. You don't like anything about the kid. You don't want him to have the it's just not. It's not great. It's I don't know. Maybe I need to like rewatch it. But I remember rewatching with a kid.
And actually, it's a Spielberg production. By the way, I know people say it's a Spielberg movie, but Richard Donner directed it. And Richard Donner, again, one of the great directors. Period. I want to say Richard Donner did Lethal Weapon. Richard Donner did some of the best movies you'll ever see in the 80s and early 90s. So, I mean, Goonies, really? I don't know.
It's fine. Again, it's that like late 80s, early 90s absurdity of stories where it's like these kids fall in a hole, and then hey, look, there's pirates, and it's just you're just like, all right, like it's fine. I think we had more imagination back when we were kids. Now there's so much in television and stuff. Like,
that's why I kind of love it, because it's simple and it all feels like, hey, crazy things happen. It's a little bit more realistic. There's no CGI. There's no other things. And what's fun too,
definitely no CGI.
You get Thanos, in that movie. You get obviously Josh Brolin playing.
Oh yeah, he was the brother.
Yeah, you're right. Brother, and you get Sean Astin, who was in Lord of the Rings. So you get two guys as kids who were in two of the biggest movie franchises in the history of
it's
the
just
universe.
Like bad parents, like
they are terrible parents, but how funny is
worst parents on the planet?
Yeah, but then there's Corey Feldman speaking Spanish to that poor Spanish woman who's trying to help them back up and telling about what
Corey Feldman was good. I actually enjoyed Corey Feldman. Again, I don't hate it. It's just I'm not gonna idolize it and sit here and be like, oh my god, Goonies is so great. Everybody, let's go back and rewatch it.
Do you hate Star Wars too? Cody wants to know.
Star Wars is great. Star Wars is a great storyline. Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, I love the puppet Yoda. I said Yoda. I watch all the Star Wars stuff. Believe me. I'm gonna get my home run call before we.
I love Star Wars. I love YOLO. YOLO, my favorite.
No, but like,
so
there was like a puppet back then, and then it gets into like much bigger stuff. Here, I'm gonna go with Aaron Judge today. Please. I feel like it's cheap. I apologize. Kind of wanted to go with Tatis because I got him on my shirt today, but Aaron Judge going in Cincinnati. I don't. Fly balls are going to be 400-foot homers for Judge. So I'm going to kind of easily go with this one, try to stack up, and I think I'll just take it for the weekend. So give me Aaron Judge for the weekend. I'm kind of being a cheater, but I am getting near the top of the leaderboard.
Hot take, Welsh. I think you love Goonies. You're just afraid to say that you love Goonies because your favorite character is Data. And you think that that's going to lead people down a bad road for you. because that character obviously is a little, stereotypical.
Nope.
I'm just
I'm
saying.
gonna let you do the
that's
rest of the
truth.
show
I think that's the truth. I'm gonna go with Bryce Harper for this weekend. That's what I'm going to do, and yeah, we're gonna have a good time. And if you want to talk about something, my kids, I keep trying to get them to watch the original Star Wars again. There's some corny, crazy stuff in those when you're just watching bits and pieces where you're like, yeah, this is a little melodramatic and ridiculous. And I love Star Wars as a kid, but the older I get, I've moved on to more Marvel stuff and other things. So Welsh has obviously left the show because it's gotten to that kind of thing. It's been a great run for us here. Oh, there he is. He's back there. Perhaps he'll lay some booby traps later on. Some booby traps.
Yep. Booby traps.
So
yep.
there you go.
YOLO, Yoda, everybody.
There you go.
Yo.
So it's been a fun show. We've enjoyed you all being here today. Go out and enjoy your baseball. Again, go sign up for Sorare, fantasypros.com/collect. Check it out. Free to check it out. And make sure you play some PrizePicks this weekend too. Use the promo code leading off when you do. That'll do it for us. But the story of the game goes on. For the Welsh, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids.